Hi, mystery readers. I'm Alexandra Amor. This is It's a Mystery Podcast, and I'm here today with Ellen Byron. Hi, Ellen.
Hi,
How are you today?
I'm great, thank you.
Good, good. You're not in a turkey coma yet?
No, I actually am starting to really kind of go like, okay, I've had enough turkey, but I'm still kind of still into it.
Excellent. And you were telling me about pastalaya just a minute ago, which is jambalaya, but with
But made with
past.
pasta.
Nice.
It's actually I cheated and used Zatarain's mix, and then I have an Oak Grove which I'm going to try too. But I'm very proud of myself because I created, I'll call it cauliflower alaya, because I made it jambalaya, and instead of using rice or pasta I used riced cauliflower, and that actually came out great. So I actually got to put a recipe together for that.
Oh, nice. Okay. And I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you about your recipes that are in your books in just a second. So let me introduce you to our listeners. Ellen Byron writes the Cajun Country Mystery Series, and obviously she's interested in Cajun food. In a starred review, Publishers Weekly called her new book, A Cajun Christmas Killing, superb. Body on the Bayou won the Lefty Award for Best Humorous Mystery and was nominated for a Best Contemporary Novel Agatha Award. Plantation Shutters, which is the first book in the series, was nominated for Agatha, Lefty, and Daphne Awards and made the USA Today bestseller list. Ellen has written over 200 national magazine articles. She's published plays, including the award-winning Graceland, and her TV credits include Wings, Just Shoot Me, Fairly Odd Parents, and Pilots. Ellen is a native New Yorker, and she now lives in the Los Angeles area with her husband, daughter, and two spoiled rescue dogs. So welcome, Ellen. Let's talk about the Cajun Country Mysteries. And so introduce us to Maggie Crozat. I'd like to hear more about her.
Well, Maggie, she's 32. She's an artist, and she went to school in New York. She went to college, art school in New York, and then she was there for years, and she had a relationship that didn't work out. So she's come back home to Pelican, Louisiana, where the town motto is, "Yes, we Pelican." And she's trying to like get her footing again. She always kind of felt like a bit of a fish out of water. But her parents own a plantation that they've turned into a B&B, and she also works at a day job at one, while all the while she's trying to get her art career going again. So she's using some of her talent to make souvenirs that they're selling at some of the plantations, but then she's also finding her own voice now that she's moved back to Louisiana.
Finding her own voice artistically or in other ways as
Artistically.
well? Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that her actual name is Magnolia.
Yes. Well, it's funny because a friend had a daughter, and a young daughter named Maggie, and he said, and I thought it assumed it was short for Margaret, and he said no, it's short for Magnolia. I thought, oh, it's another Magnolia. So,
Wow.
just coincidence.
Yeah, that's lovely. Now you have to explain to me why you've written books set in Louisiana. You're a native New Yorker, as we mentioned. You're living in Los Angeles, so why Louisiana?
I went to college there. I went to Tulane University, and I just completely fell in love with the area. My parents would come to visit sometimes, and we just would, they'd rent a car, and we'd go tootling around the small towns and the bayous, and I just became kind of obsessed with it. And it's really one of the few places in America where it's a very strong culture within a culture, and the culture was kind of, they were trying to get rid of it like in the 30s and stuff, and then in the past, like trying to assimilate and homogenize, and then a group came up, started to fight to preserve it, and then I think they've done a very good job. People are very proud of being Cajun or Creole, and in South Louisiana, I really don't know North Louisiana. In north of I-10, I'm a little sketchy on, but I've really just gone to as many places south of I-10 as I can on my own or with my husband or my parents, and I just love it.
And Pelican is a fictional town, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
It was inspired, it's kind of an amalgamation of many real towns of St. Martinville or Breaux Bridge or Opelousas or Natchitoches, or, it's a little, but it's a smaller, I call it a Cajun Brigadoon, because
That's
I
good.
wanted to have that magical feeling. But the plantations are all inspired by real places. In fact, the general inspiration for the series idea of a plantation turned B&B was my husband and I in the late 90s. went down. We were in Louisiana, and doing traveling and just exploring the little towns and bayous. And we spent a night at a plantation called Maidwood, and it was no host. They left us a lovely letter, and there were workers there to take care of us and feed us. But it was like a dozen strangers. So I'm like, wow, does this feel like? And then there were none. So it really, and it stayed with me. And I was very busy raising our kid and working in television. And then there came a period when things were, I had a break, and I used that to start writing this series.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And so are Maggie's parents, they're running the B&B, and she's come back to
Yes.
help them out. Is it struggling a little bit? I got that impression.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's cost a lot to maintain those plantations, and some of them that are in private hands are in wealthy private hands, and they're doing okay. And then another, I'm not going to name it, but I was there I was there a couple of times, about 4 or 5 times in the last couple of years, and drove up the river road past one that had been just beautiful years ago, and now is in disrepair because the son inherited it from the parents, and it's just really kind of, I feel it makes me sad. I guess he just doesn't have the finances to keep it up. So that's why a lot of them now are or in foundations. A few are owned by the state, but not that many. In fact, originally in Plantation Shutters, Doucette, which was in Maggie's mother's family and was donated to the state, was run by the state. And then I put it in a private nonprofit hands. So changed it up a little bit.
Okay, cool. And speaking of Maggie's parents, so there seems to be another family in town, the Durand family, and it seems to be a bit of a Montague and Capulet situation going on. So why don't you tell us a bit about that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, in Plantation Shutters and Embodying the Bayou, the first 2 books in the series, the police chief is named Rufus Durand, and the Durand is a family that's been around almost as long as Maggie's, or as long as Maggie's, and way back in the mid 1800s, one of their descendants was supposed to marry one of her descendants and cheated on her, and she gave him the heave ho. But the legend has it that she cursed the family's relationships. So Rufus, really has an issue with the Crozats, and then his cousin comes to town, Beau Durand, who's your classic, tall, dark, and handsome. And he and Maggie at first, are like this, and then they hit it off, and but they're kind of like keeping it all on the down low because Rufus, as the police chief, has a lot of power. And she doesn't want him making life miserable for her family. Now, as the series progresses, Rufus is on leave because he got into a fight with the mayor over a parking space. So he's a character. And then in the 3rd book, their relationship kind of changes because I really think it's important to evolve the characters and their relationships and not always have it be the same. So, and not have the villain always be the villain, to show other sides. Because he has a relationship breakup and he blames Maggie for that. But then there's a child as a result of the relationship. And, when he meets his infant daughter, he, realizes he has kind of an epiphany. So and it's fun. It's fun to play with that relationship.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so tell us a little bit about the most recent book. And it's set around Christmas, which will be perfect for our listeners who will be hearing this at the beginning of December.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, and that is inspired. It revolves around an actual Louisiana tradition called Bonfires on the Levee. And sometimes I say Bonfires on the Valley completely accidentally, and I like to stop myself. But Bonfires on the Levee, and what happens is Christmas Eve, if the weather holds, these giant bonfires are built and then lit at 7 p.m. on Christmas Eve along the Mississippi River in several parishes that are just about 45 minutes to an hour north of New Orleans. And it's such a unique, specific to this area. And the legend has it that they were supposed to guide the way for Papa Noel to reach the Cajun children. And I thought, oh, that's so perfect for a Christmas mystery. But I really wanted to experience it for myself. So in 2015, I brought my husband and my daughter. I have, friends in the area. I have a lot of friends in Louisiana, and I actually ended up winning a contest through the Visit New Orleans Plantation Country website and Facebook page. So we got to go to a private party that was right across the street from Bonfires and have some of the best food I've ever had, Cajun food I've ever had in my life. It was all homemade by this fantastic, family of older siblings. And we got to watch, it was touch and go because the weather wasn't good that day. So there's a possibility they were going to have to postpone it until New Year's Eve when we wouldn't be there. So I was in a panic because I really wanted to experience it for myself and write that into the book. So luckily, even though it was drizzling, it did go, but I wrote that all into the book. So it's like, it's drizzling, and then all of a sudden these bonfires that are like 20 feet tall burst into flame, and a lot of them are covered with firecrackers. So there are firecrackers going off and soot and smoke, and then there are, fireworks in the river going off in the river. And I was just like completely coated with rain and soot. And I had to take, I wanted to go to midnight mass, but we had to go home and I had to take a shower first. It was just completely just black with soot.
Yes.
But I wrote all that into the book. And the pivotal scene at the end when, Maggie is confronting a murderer takes place while the bonfires are going on. And there be, it's a chase scene through through the smoke and the rain and the firecrackers. So that was so much fun to write.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, it must be just such a visual extravaganza kind of
Yes.
writing that scene. Oh, it must have been delightful. Wow, amazing. And how do you think, we touched on the fact that you wrote for television. How do you think your television writing affects your writing a novel?
Well, I think because, when you're writing for TV, you have to create, every scene has to end with a bit of an uh-oh, even if it's a comedy, because you got to bring people back from a commercial. So there has to be something to come, they have to, your goal is to make them stick around for a whole episode. So I think that's ingrained in me. And so, I think the way I write is that each scene, there's a little bit of an uh-oh, so, people want to keep going. And also, humor, bringing humor to, finding humor and wherever I can, without like getting too jokey, because it's like the difference between a multi-camera sitcom like a Big Bang Theory and a single camera sitcom like a Veep. Veep is hard because they have a lot of very hard jokes. But the rule for at least multi-camera is 3 jokes a page, and even sometimes more. Like a Will and Grace probably is every line is a joke, and and it comes from character. But yes, but also like if it's single camera where it's more character based and less, and you're getting the world is a little wider. It's not just shot on the set. You really have to come from character. So I think that's been because of my TV experience. It's ingrained in me to find that humor that way. And but I also was a playwright for it, although I haven't done it in a long time. And I try to bring that to my writing. And so for that, it's like creating a sense of place. I really love. That's why I write in third person, because I feel like I can create a sense of place better than just I could in first person. It can get a little more poetic, as it were.
Right. Yes, exactly. And and I imagine that television writing is a bit more collaborative too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you're writing on. Drama and comedy are and single camera. It's all very different. Like there's single camera comedy and multi-camera comedy. The procedure is very much the same, except in multi-camera comedy you have run-throughs. So you go to you have a table read, which you have in every show.
Mm-hmm.
But like by the next day, you're going to a run-through, and then there's a network run-through and a studio run-through, and you're getting notes, and after the run-through, you're just constantly writing. And even when the show is shooting that night in front of a live audience, if a joke doesn't work, you're going off and huddling as a group. So, you break a story, and luckily, if some shows are gang written, so they're written in the room, like a lot of Chuck Lorre's show, like Big Bang Theory and Mom and those shows. Where everyone is collaboratively writing, and we did that on Fairly Odd Parents. And then other shows, you get sent off and you write a script, but then you come back and it's collaborative to rewrite it and to break the story. And that's true, in drama too. It's like it's collaborative to break the story, but then when usually you go off and write a script, and usually there's not a room pass, there's more a showrunner pass on it. So, and then of course in single camera comedies, you don't have the run, you might have a initial run through, but after that, they're shooting right away, and it's on a very short schedule. So you might be on the set to make corrections, but you're also not getting the feedback from an audience that might make you change a joke. But again, it may be a little more character than joke driven, a lot of the single cameras, but not all of them.
Right, yeah. And between playwriting, novel writing, and writing for television, do you have a favorite?
You know what? I love that I get to do it all because I really, I get to scratch a lot of itches. So when I'm feeling, I need some live writing, then it's great for TV. When I feel like I need to be a little more poetic, then and then I go to my novel writing. I haven't written plays in a while, but every so often I get, that itch to scratch, and I might do a short one in the next few years. But like right now, I'm just really loving the combination of television and mystery writing.
And so you still are writing for TV at the moment?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm on
okay.
a hiatus right now, but yes, I am absolutely still writing for TV.
Oh, fascinating. Okay. And so you write the Cajun Mysteries in your spare time then?
Yes. There was
Okay.
a lot of writing on, a lot of writing at night, a lot of writing on the weekends. Like my daughter's a teenager now and doesn't really, was kind of doing her own thing. So
Yeah.
it would have been much harder when she was younger. I don't know if I could have pulled it off.
Yeah.
Because, but my husband, who's he says that he sees me more these days, but he talks to me less because I'm always right.
Right. Yes. I don't know. Is that a blessing or a curse?
I don't know, is that a blessing or a curse, honey?
Oh, it works both ways.
Works both ways, he said.
Okay. And so we mentioned that the latest book has a Christmas theme, and it came out in October, so it's available right now.
Yes,
And
yes.
so
It's a
what?
great present, everyone.
It's a great present, exactly. What's next for Maggie?
Well, I have a 4-book deal, and I'm hoping to get more, but the fourth one is going to be called Mardi Gras Murder.
Nice.
And it's going to involve, again, I try to really pull from some of the real traditions in the area that people may not know about. And I think people like that because it's not just the expected. I mean, of course, there's a Mardi Gras parade because there has to be. But it really revolves around the Cajun tradition called Crier de Mardi Gras, or Crier de Mardi Gras, but they would not say it completely French. Which is Mardi Gras Run, and where it is people dress up in these like wild costumes, and their faces are hidden, and they wear these capuchons that look like dunce caps, and they go, these masks, and they go from home to home begging the ingredients for a communal gumbo, and sometimes they still make the communal gumbo with those ingredients, and sometimes it's pre-made, and then there's a dance later on in the day. But some of them are the capitains of the crews or these groups are sometimes on horseback, and sometimes there are flatbed trucks that they can jump on and off. And so Pelican is having that's their Mardi Gras. So she gets involved with that, and it's really fun. It's fun. I have to say, it's fun.
And when do you have a rough date for when we could expect that?
You know what? I actually don't know the publication date, but it'll definitely be sometime in 2018, probably fall. My books have been coming out. I'm doing one a year, and if I have more time, I might increase it if they give me more books. But right now, I really spend a lot of time on each book, and really go through a million drafts and really want to get it right. So I may have to increase my output. But right now, that's what it's kind of like. Hey, if Louise Penny can get away with one a year.
That's right. Yes, exactly. And there are recipes in the most recent one. Are there recipes in all the books?
Yes.
Oh,
and
okay.
that came about because when I was writing the first book, I was describing the Cajun food because, it's a bed and breakfast, and in this place, they also serve food, breakfast, and, even lunch if someone wants it, and often dinner. And I was really making myself hungry because I love jambalaya and I love Cajun food. So I thought, well, if I'm making myself hungry, I'm probably going to make the readers hungry. So I thought, well, I guess I have to I'm going to put some recipes in. And it's funny because like I'm really not a natural cook. I mean, I've always loved to bake and stuff, and but just cooking is harder for me. So the recipes are sometimes the hardest part because I really I have to do my own take on something. You can't just lift it from an Emerald cookbook, much as I'd like to.
Right.
But or a Paul Prudhomme cookbook. But what I can do is I can take a jambalaya and play with it. Like jambalaya, which is in the Body in the Bayou book, the recipe there I'm super proud of because I made Cajun jambalaya recipe versus Creole, and Creole is made with tomatoes. But Cajun jambalaya is not; it's a brown jambalaya, and I really worked hard to get the right mix of spices and flavors, and it came out. I was very proud of that one, But there are a lot of sweet recipes too,
Oh,
But I always give my own twist.
baking recipes as well in the books?
Yes,
Oh,
like
okay.
yeah, like I actually in A Cajun Christmas Killing, I'm very excited because I came up with a sugar cookie recipe, but I wanted it to be like specific to the. So I it's a spicy Cajun sugar cookie, and it's got a hint of cayenne pepper in it, and it's
Oh.
not too spicy at all because I actually don't like spicy. And actually, that's a misnomer about Cajun food that it's supposed to be spicy, and good Cajun cooks will say no, 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 it's supposed to be flavorful. And
Oh.
actually, in some jambalaya or gumbo contests, if it's too spicy, those contestants will be disqualified.
Hmm.
So, they prefer that you spice it up yourself. So I think that kind of, my guess is it kind of started with Paul Prudhomme and the black and redfish. But I mean, a lot of it will absolutely have a kick to it, and they love Tabasco sauce.
Hmm.
But it's, I prefer to let people do that. But these cookies have a little teeny kick to it, so it's fun.
Oh, nice. That's great. And so just one more question before we go. One of your reviewers mentioned that they really loved Maggie's Grandma. Can you
Oh, Grand Mère.
tell us a little bit about that?
You know
Her.
what? When I wrote Plantation Shutters, I gave Maggie a friend. I gave her a Gaynell Bourgeois who is inspired by a real life Gaynell Bourgeois Moore, who's a good friend of mine. And we met when she was working as a guide at a plantation, and we just hit it off, and we've been friends ever since. And I tell a little. I actually each of my books has what I call a lagniappe chapter, and that's a Cajun, that's a New Orleans, Louisiana term that means a little something extra. And in that chapter, I tell about the real people and places that inspired the fictional ones. So it's kind of it's a little backstory, and a little history, and a little bit of a travel guide. And Grand Mère, but then Grand Mère became because I figured Maggie needed a friend and an ear, and Gaynell, of course, has stayed in all the books. But Grand Mère became like this really fun character to write, and she has an edge to her, and she's a very elegant, landed lady, but she also has got a great sense of humor, and she's a little mischievous. She gets into trouble now and then, and in Occasion Christmas Killing, no, in Mardi Gras Murder, um,
Oh.
she gets into some trouble. But in Body in the Bayou, she does, and she's really been fun. And now she has a boyfriend, and I love her relationship, and so she's kind of become Maggie's ear. And because she's, she can be a little bit of a bad girl and encourage Maggie to, well, yeah, go ahead and break the rules, even though she's like a town doyenne and she owns it, and she plays that card sometimes, but she knows she's doing it.
Right.
I love writing her. She's really fun.
She sounds like she would be a fun character to write.
She's got a little bit of Maggie Smith from Downton Abbey. There's a little teeny bit, but she's not a like, what's a weekend? I mean,
Yeah.
she's not.
Right.
She's much more with much more of the world.
Good. Oh, that's great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this, Ellen. It's been great. So, why don't you let our listeners know where they can find out more about you and your books?
I have a website, ellenbyron.com,
Hmm.
and you can find everything you need to know there. And I also have an author page on Facebook, Ellen Byron Author, and then I have Ellen Byron LA as my Twitter handle. Although I'm not so much on Twitter, I'm on Facebook a lot. I really like Facebook.
Mm.
And you can contact me through my website, and it has information about all the books. And I also have a newsletter, a Cajun Country Mysteries newsletter, and I love. That's something that's become really fun for me to do because it's not just about my books. And, I also have a section I call Your Louisiana Library, which talks about other books about the area. I'll put recipes in there. I'll put little travel, places to go in the area. And I have contests. So you can sign up for that on the homepage of my website.
Great. And so, what I'll do is I'll put a link to that in the show notes at itsamysterypodcast.com. So people can find it. And on your website, you also have a page called Louisiana Links. With,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So I'll link to that as well.
Great. And yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, this has been a real treat. And yeah, we'll broadcast on Monday, December 4th, 2017.
Perfect. Perfect.
And
Thank you. Looking
oh, and
forward to
I
it.
also want to put a link into, is it okay for me to say that you've got a blog post coming out that same day?
Yes, yes, absolutely. That's on Chicks on the Case. Um,
Chicks on the
I
Case.
I do a multi-author blog called I'm on a multi-author blog called chicksonthecase.com with some wonderful writers, Marla Cooper, Kelly Garrett, Vicky Fee, Lisa Q. Matthews, and Cynthia Kuhn, and we all blog together, and they're really fun, kind of like light, goofy posts.
Oh, cool. Okay, so
Not
I'll
goofy, not all of them are goofy, but some of them are just we have a light touch.
okay,
They're
good. So I will link to that as well. Well, thanks again, Ellen. This has been awesome.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye.